Wow, this high-speed drive is pretty fun.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, you're not wearing a seatbelt?
Yeah, why are you asking me?
Well, if we had to saw and brake, you're going to... Oh shit!
What? Oh, fuck!
ダメだねダメよダメなのよあんたが好きで好きすぎて
You are dead!
I'm pretty sure you're wondering what the sugar plums happened there. I'll tell you. Inertia is the first law of gravity. If you're wondering about the other laws, don't worry, they don't matter. Force equals mass times acceleration? What's that? Inertia, by definition, is the tendency for an object to continue its current state of motion. But when talking about the law of inertia, it gets a little complicated. But basically, an object in motion will stay in motion until an unbalanced force acts upon it. This is the same when an object is at rest. To explain how inertia works in our example, let's go to the drawing board. In this example, we'll be looking at the motions and forces acted upon the tanuki and the dog. If you don't know, this is a tanuki, and this is a dog. And these are my beautiful hands that I definitely do not get from killing someone. Okay, so we will be representing both the dog and the tanuki as dots. When the car is moving forward, so are both of the animals. And when the car stops, it's able to stop with the help of a braking system. But that's not so much for the tanuki and dog. And with the law of inertia, as you know, we needed another unbalanced force to stop these both animals. Luckily, the dog is being stopped by a seatbelt. But for the tanuki, nothing is stopping it, leading it to fly out of the window of the car, leading to its death. With this, we now know how inertia acted upon the tanuki and dog, but we still don't know what forces were being acted upon the animals when they were driving, which we'll see with the FBD, which stands for Free Body Diabetes. Free Body Diagram. We will be drawing 4 free body diagrams. One for when the dog starts to drive, a second during the drive, the third when the brakes are held, and at last when the dog stops moving. When the dog starts the car, the force from the car is moving the dog forward. We will call this F of car in our diagram. But there's also 2 other forces acting on the dog at all times, which will be present in each part. One being the force of gravity, which I'll be labeling F of G, and the force from the seatbelt, which keeps the dog up, which I'll call F of N. I'll be drawing those on each graph in a snap. See? Okay. In part 2, during the drive, we can infer that the car is moving at a constant velocity. At this point, there's no other forces acting on the dog then, with it only being the normal force and the force of gravity acting on the dog. In part 3, when the dog brakes the car, other than the normal force and the force of gravity, there is one more force acting on the dog. That would be the force from the seatbelt, which I'll be calling F of seatbelt. This stops the dog from going forward and moves it back, and in a way slows the dog from going forward. And at last, part 4, when the dog is at rest, is not moving, there's only 2 forces acting on it, one being the force, normal force, and the force of gravity. At this point, you might have realized that both the diagrams from part 2 and part 4 are the same. This is another part of free body diagrams. They don't show motion. So we wouldn't know if the object is actually in motion or not if we ever drew a free body diagram. Well, that's it for Inertia. Thank you for learning it with me. Until next time, au revoir, veliosta.